Trump says to sign executive order shuttering the education department. Closing the department requires an act of Congress, but Trump could make it nearly impossible for remaining employees to carry out their work, much like at USAID or USA. President Donald Trump is expected to sign an executive order Thursday to close the education department, filling a years-long pledge to dismantle the federal agency, the White House confirmed. Trump will hold an event at the White House to sign the order, direct Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education and return the education authorities to the states while continuing to ensure the effective and uninterrupted delivery of services, programs, and benefits on which Americans rely. USA Today first reported that Trump would sign the order Thursday, formally closing the department requires an act of Congress, but even without formally shutting it down, the Trump administration could effectively make it nearly impossible for employees to carry out their work, as it has done with the U.S. Agency for International Development. President Jimmy Carter established the department in 1979 after Congress passed the Department of Education Organization Act in bipartisan votes. McMahon recently voted to drastically reduce the size of the education department by cutting its workforce in half. She called the job termination the first step towards shutting down the department. That was the President McMahon said last week in an interview with Fox News. His directive to me clearly is to shut down the Department of Education, which we know we'll have to work with Congress, to get that accomplished. McMahon similarly voted at her Senate confirmation hearing to work with Congress to advance Trump's plan to dismantle the department. She telegraphed it in an email to employees this month that major changes were coming. Our job is to respect the will of American people and the president they elect, who has taken us with accomplishing the elimination of bureaucratic bloat here at the Department of Education. Monumental final mission, quickly and responsibly, she wrote, according to a copy obtained by the NBC News. The Senate confirmed McMahon in a 51-45 vote. No Democrat voted for her. Trump has suggested that he could garner enough congressional support to formally close the department, categorizing teachers' unions as more of a threat to the plan than lawmakers. I think I'll work with Congress, Trump said last month in the Oval Office. We have to work with the teachers' union because the teachers' union is the only one that's opposed to it. It is unclear whether Trump has secured the support of any Democratic lawmakers, many of whom have balked at his efforts on the front. Senator Patty Murray of Washington, the top Democrat on the Appropriation Committee, accused Trump and Elon Musk, the de facto head of the Department of Government Efficiency, robbing our students and families of critical funding. The effects of Trump and Musk's slash and burn campaign will be felt across our state by students and families who suffer from the loss of department staff working to ensure their rights under federal law, school districts who have to lay off teachers, students who can't get the help they need to get financial aid, the families who get ripped off because the watchdogs were fired, Murray said in a statement Wednesday night. This issue is personal for me and for every single family. We cannot relent in this fight. Coalition of 21 Democratic attorneys general filed a lawsuit last week arguing any attempt by Trump to eliminate the department is unlawful, because neither the president nor his agency can undo the many acts of Congress that authorize the department dictates its responsibilities and appropriate funds for it to administer. The President's directive to eliminate the Department of Education, including through the March 11 decimation of the department's workforce and any other agency implementation, is an unlawful violation of the separation of powers and the executive obligation to take care that the law be faithfully executed. The lawsuit reads, the Education Department is one of the smallest cabinet-level departments. Its $268 billion appropriation last year represents 4% of the U.S. budget. The department does not dictate curricular use in curricular use in classroom. It is largely a funding and civil rights enforcement organization. The department does not dictate curricular use in classroom. It is largely a funding and civil rights enforcement organization distributing money for schools with high rates of impoverished students and to assist children with disabilities. It also runs the public students loan programs, which has more consumers protection and lower interest rates than private education loan programs. Trump's executive order will direct McMahon to ensure the agency's funds do not go towards programs or activities that advance diversity, equity, and includes goals or general ideology. The Education Department last week announced investigation into more than 50 universities and accused of engaging in race executionary practices in their graduate programs. Diversity, equity, and inclusions, or DEI, is a widely used label applied to efforts to improve workforce culture and create more opportunities for disadvantaged groups, and they are not inherently discriminating. National Education Association President Becky Pringle said in a statement Wednesday that Trump's effort to close the Education Department could have disastrous implications for students across the country. If successful, Trump's continued action will hurt all students by sending class sizes soaring, cutting job training programs, making higher education more expensive and out of the reach for middle-class families, taking away special education services for students with disabilities, and gutting students' civil rights protection, Pringle said in a statement. She accused Trump and Musk of aiming their wrecking ball at public schools and the futures of the 50 million students in rural, suburban, and urban communities across America to pay for tax handouts for billionaires. McMahon said last week that at least 3 DOGE staffers had been auditing the Education Department. Kerry Rodriguez, the president of the National Parent Union, said dismantling the department would disproportionately affect the most valuable communities. Let's be clear, before federal oversight, millions of children, particularly those with disabilities and those from our most vulnerable communities, were denied the opportunity they deserved. Already said in a statement Wednesday night, the Department of Education was created to ensure that every child, regardless of the background or zip code, has access to a public education that prepared them for their future. Eliminated it would roll back decades of programs, leaving countless students behind in the education system that has historically found the most marginalized. Trump has long pledged to dismantle the Education Department, first mentioning the idea during his previous term and campaign on the promise extensively throughout the 2024 election. He has suggested that states should take over administering educational policies and that other parts of the federal government could absorb current agencies' responsibilities like overseeing federal student loans. Your state is going to control your students' education. We're moving it out of Washington immediately, Trump said at a campaign event last year in Saginaw, Michigan. We're going to do the very do that very fast, and it's going to be great.